So I was always an athletic kid. Obviously, my dad being into football as well, but he told me straight, like, yeah, you're no good at this. That's when he went to take me to the boxing gym. Yeah, I was like, oh, do you know, I don't want to do this, don't want to do this. He took me back a couple of weeks later, and then I had my first session, and I really enjoyed it. And then the coach actually said, like, he's got a natural talent. So it's a thing we kind of persisted with. I actually got to a point where I was actually like, the thought of sparring actually made me like really nervous. Every time I take a beating, it would ruin my week, because I just knew like this is what I wanted to do. I'm sparring and it's like I'm not really seeing no improvement. Kept going, you know, taking beatings, and then things started to slowly shift. Yeah, the more I went, the more confidence I built up going into the MTK Box Cup. It was all up in Lake District, so it's like I was never going all that way to lose, because I know that drive back was going to be the longest drive I've ever had. I had to win. With the Caribbean culture, it's more like they're very against boxing. It's always, once that's all said and done, after that you go, you're gonna get a job, you're gonna get a good job. So it's only me and my family so far that's actually tried to pursue a career in a sport.
Welcome back to the KultureKast podcast. My guest today is an amateur boxer and the 2021 MTK Box Cup Champion. Welcome, Marley Rutherford. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, not so bad yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good. As you might, well, we've just spoke about it 2 minutes ago, so we'll just jump straight into the childhood aspect and the cultural aspect. So tell me a bit about Marley growing up, baby Marley, and your cultural background.
Baby Marley, just a general kid, you know, playing with toys, games, Legos, you know, PlayStation 2, playing Simpsons, hit and run, all that kind of stuff, you know, playing football, like active kid. I was quite athletic, to be fair. I was actually quite a fast kid, so back in school, I'd actually go on borough flex, all that kind of stuff. So I'd compete against other schools in the borough. So yeah, that was kind of like my introduction into like sports and all that kind of stuff. So I was always an athletic kid. Obviously, my dad being into football as well. So yeah, it was always some sort of sport going on.
Yeah. Athleticism as a kid. So obviously you would have always been sporty and stuff, but you didn't get into boxing until 7 or 8. And from what I understand, sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, no. So I first went to the gym when I was 7, and then you know, we spoke to the coach and stuff, but there was no kids my age around them times. So he said, yeah, bring him back when he's a little bit older, and then yeah, then we'll start to see where things can go. So we went back when I was 9, and then I remember I was like to my dad, I don't really want to do it. We had like a little gym introduction, and I was a bit shy. So he was like, he was walking around the gym and he was just showing me around, and then yeah, I was like, oh, do you know, I don't want to do this. And then I went home, and then he took me back a couple of weeks later, and then I had my first session, and I really enjoyed it. And then the coach actually said, like, he's got a natural talent. So it's a thing we kind of persisted with, kept going every Wednesday. I started every Wednesday evening. And then it was just each week, just noticed small things getting better. I was picking up combinations quite quickly. And then like, I'd actually find myself going home, like watching like Muhammad Ali videos, all that kind of stuff. I'd watch the same video over and over again. But I still remember the videos today. So Muhammad Ali, greatest fights and speeches. Yeah, so I'll go to the gym, and I'll even be doing like the little Ali shuffle in the mirror, watch myself, like, you know, just kind of doing that kind of stuff. And then I started to look a little bit deeper. Like my dad used to talk about Roy Jones, Mike Tyson. So I'd always be watching like small compilations of those fighters, trying to imitate them, trying to do what they do, like I always wanted to make myself like an old school kind of fighter.
Yeah, 100%. And you've obviously mentioned your dad a few times there, so I'm guessing he's probably a big boxing fan if he's taking his son to the gym at age 7.
Yeah, so the way that worked out is where he's massive in football. He just loves sports. So his thing initially was playing football, but he told me straight, like, yeah, you're no good at this. So it was like, it was a thing of, he's straight on. He said, yeah, nah, this is not your sport. Like, we went to a couple football clubs local, and then he was just saying, yeah, nah, this ain't for you. So then that's when he went to take me to the boxing gym, and then yeah, that's where it all kind of kicked off. But yeah, he's been watching boxing for a long time. Like, he'd always tell me about Hagler, Tommy Hearn, you know, the Four Kings, obviously Ali, Tyson, Sonny Liston, George Foreman, all those guys.
So before you started actually enjoying boxing, I'm guessing that wasn't something that you were that into yourself, though. So like before the 9-10, when you went back and you enjoyed that first session, before that, do you know all about, you know, Hagler, Hearns and Ali and all these things? Or was it when you got into the gym, you were like, I want to get better at this, and researching yourself?
Yeah, it was only when I got into the gym. Like, my only thing on boxing I knew was Wii Sport. I was just be playing Wii Sport. That was literally it. And then I think it was when I started getting into it a little bit. it was the thing I played at. It was funny enough, I played it the most out of all the sports. I was on the boxing game, and then it was like, I was like to my dad, oh yeah, I'd like to go boxing, but it was like a throwaway comment. I didn't really mean it. And then he took me to the gym, and things kind of panned out how they did. And then after, when I went to the gym, that's when I started finding out about boxers and all the legends and stuff like that.
And that's when you realise that Wii Sport is nothing like the real
exactly
thing.
exactly that.
As long as you got fast
very soon. Exactly. Found out very, very soon.
That's the one. So we skipped a tiny bit of the cultural side of things. So you mentioned your dad and your mum. So you come from a Caribbean background.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, it's just basically with the Caribbean culture, it's more like, we enjoy our food, enjoy our music. So it's like, I'd go to Notting Hill Carnival every year with my cousins and my family. Like, that was a massive part of our culture. I actually ended up not liking it, to be fair, but it's just with the Caribbean culture, it's like it's massive on family. Whenever there's a birthday, just loads of birthdays, all the family would meet up, just cracking jokes, cracking bants, having a good time sort of thing. The thing with Caribbean culture, they're very against like boxing. Every time I bring it up to our grand, she'll be like, nah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to like damage your pretty face. You wanna get a job, you wanna get a good job, you wanna, if not find a trade, go on site, go work. Because that's basically what, the Caribbean men do. They'll come over here and then they'll find them a trade, like whether it be painting and decorating or some sort of, even if they'll become an electrician or a chippy carpenter or whatever, something like that. Like when it come to work, they were very fixed on trades. Unless if it wasn't a trade, then you'd go to school, get good grades, then go on to university, and then go to get a good job that way. But when it comes down to sports, it's not a big thing at all. But with my dad, going back to him again, he was big on sports, but he ended up getting a trade himself. But before that, he was, what he used to tell me, he was like a top baller. So it's always running off. Like everyone, funny enough, everyone in my family had some sort of sport they played. Like one of my cousins, she did athletics. She was actually a 100-meter sprinter. And then my uncles played football as well. So there's always been that sort of link, but it's always, once that's all said and done, after that you go to uni, you go get a job, and then but it was never ever taken serious. So it's only me and my family so far that actually tried to pursue a career in a sport.
Yeah, I think this is why I like speaking to people from different backgrounds and speaking about the cultural aspect, because you find similarities in most people who come from like immigrant or households or different ethnicities from white British, for example, because it's pretty much the same with a lot of Indian parents is they come over and obviously they do the manual labor jobs for push education hardcore, because same thing is like if you can't do the manual labor job, you should go into education, a bit more security, and then extracurricular activities like sports or arts or music or anything would be seen as just a hobby. You fair enough, play it, but focus on your education. And I think it is because obviously you have that lack of security when you come from a different country to the UK. Try to obviously make as much money as you can, but because of that lack of security, you don't want your kids to be insecure. You want them to have security, and that's obviously seen as through the like 9-to-5 jobs. But I feel like nowadays with obviously sports being more lucrative and things like social media highlighting other people from similar backgrounds doing successfully in them fields, it's a lot easier for the next generation, which you're a part of, to be successful in them sports. Do you know what I mean? Like and realistically, Caribbean geezers like yourself are quite athletic anyway, so you could probably tailor yourself to a variety of sports.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the Indian and the Caribbean sort of
they're very similar, to be fair. Very, very similar.
Yeah, well, like you said, music, food, and sort of that family environment. It's very much similar with ourselves. Like, if you go to an Indian wedding, you pretty much go to Nottingham Carnival.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, whenever I've heard of an Indian wedding, like they roll deep. There's like, I heard it's like minimum 300 people there at a wedding. Like, it's massive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just loud music, beautiful food, and you're surrounded by very large families. Too large, exactly. Explaining the 300 people.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is quite dope. So obviously you would have had the comments from the Caribbean side of the family saying not to go into boxing. Was it specifically boxing because it's a combat sport and that seemed to be a bit more dangerous, or is it just any sports in general?
No, it was well mainly boxing, to be fair, because obviously it's so dangerous. Obviously, you see, there's a few boxers that have lost their lives in the ring. Just generally getting hit in general is something like my family aren't really comfortable like with seeing. Like obviously my parents, they've got used to it over the time because I've been doing it for so long. But when there are people that come and watch for the first time, they do tend to say, "Oh, I don't really like seeing you get hit," and all that kind of stuff. So it is more about like the safety aspect of it. I think if it was a sport like football or maybe even rugby or the athletics like side of things, I used to do that when I was younger. It'll probably be a bit more acceptable, but the actual aspect of fighting is just something I don't think they're really happy with.
Yeah, and understandably, and I've used the example before, is Rocky has probably inspired so many kids to get into boxing, but it's probably deterred so many parents from their kids going into boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
watch a movie like that, and or any sort of fight in general. But I feel like a lot of that generation when Rocky came out, you're seeing a lot of the kids now who've grown up watching that obviously go to boxing, and that era was fantastic. Like you said, Roy Jones, Muhammad Ali was a bit beforehand. That era of boxing's obviously we're seeing the fruits of that now because all them kids who watched them back in the day are obviously getting into it. How old are you now, bro?
21.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
So and you've been amateur since 18-ish, did you say?
19. Yeah, 19. Yeah. But I've been boxing since I was 9. Yeah.
So you turned professional. Well, like obviously started having some bouts at 19, rocked 3-0, and then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And so now after the pandemic, you was the MTK competition straight after the pandemic for you?
Literally straight in. That was my first fight straight after the pandemic. So I remember first hearing about it. So the gym reopened, and then like the whole squad got back to the gym, like working and stuff like that. And then our coach sat down and spoke to us, said, right, yep, we're going into the MTK Box Cup, and that was 8 weeks prior. So when I heard that, that's when I was like, right, because I was saying to my dad like before like the season even started, like midsummer, like we're still kind of in the pandemic, so nothing really was coming about. I was saying to him like, right, when this season starts, I want to start stamping authority. Like I want to be the best. First thing I'm gonna go is I'm gonna win it, whatever, whether it be national box cups, Haringey Box Cup, whatever. Like, I'm going in there to win it. And then like when that box cup did come about, it's like there was no chance I was losing. Like I was so fixed on it. Like it was all up in Lake District, so it's like I was never going all that way to lose because I know that drive back was gonna be the longest drive I've ever had. So it's like once I was there, that's it. Like I had to win. So I remember after the semi-final, like I broke down in tears. It's like it was such a relief. And then even same with the final, like it was just all that hard work that I'd done. Like so I'd have my normal sessions. I'd wake up, go for a run, and then I'd come home, like chill out for a bit, and then I'd go to the gym. After the gym, go to the track, and I'll do that 5 days a week. And then even after work, I'd start work at 9, and then finish my shift at 6, and go to the gym straight after. Wouldn't finish at the gym until 9 o'clock. Like I was putting in like the graph because I knew how much I wanted it, and then I was like just completely knackered. But yeah, there was actually a point where it was 2 weeks before. Yeah, 2 weeks before the box cup, I was 4 kilos of weight still, so I was fighting at 71, and then I had to cut 4 kilos in that week. So what I did was I had a proper strict diet of having porridge in the morning with like a cup of tea, and then I'd have like rice and tuna or rice and fish or like pasta, like something really light at 3 o'clock. Then I wouldn't eat until the next day. So I'd eat at 8, and then I'd fast until 3 o'clock, eat at 3, and then I'll just repeat it every single day basically. And then and like there was times I was at work, and then like I'd be walking around and I'd feel proper lightheaded, like I was about to faint. So I'd have to like drink water. Like this is the thing with boxing as well. Like the weight cuts we have to do sometimes is like it's proper hard. Like that's the side you don't see. Like people they see us, they put a gloves on, put a gum shield and just fight. But it's that weight cut, it's that hard work all beforehand. Like it's proper it's grueling, proper grueling. But so I done all that, and there was just like after doing all that, there was no way for me to lose. Like I was set on it.
100%. It is dangerous though. Like I think obviously you probably the more you fight and the more you compete, and you'll probably get more dialed into your body and maybe not blow up during off season and like having to come back down and things. But it is very dangerous, like especially the water cutting and hydration, because I think it's I forgot the name of the actual solution. It's an endocratic solution, something like that. It's the fluid that surrounds your brain.
Right.
And basically, when you have a water cut, like obviously many boxers do, the fluid surrounding your brain obviously decreases as a result. You just generally getting dehydrated. But obviously, because there's no fluid surrounding it, when you get punched in the head, your brain has less of a cushion. It's not swishing around in fluid. It's just going to hit off the skull, which is obviously why concussions are a lot more prevalent. And it's why things like water and hydration clauses and things like that in, say, the UFC or in boxing are so talked about, because it is extremely dangerous for you're already going to go in there and get punched in the face, but if you can decrease the chance of getting long-term brain injuries at the same time, you may as well. It's hard, but you can't not cut because everybody else is. So if you fight at your natural weight, you're just going to be at a disadvantage because someone bigger is going to come down and they're willing to do that sacrifice. So then everybody has to, which is a real shame. If it was a perfect world, and maybe I am definitely speaking in dreamland here, everybody would fight at their like walking around weight or what they would feel comfortable without.
That would make sense. Yeah.
But it's just never going to happen.
Boxing works. Yeah,
exactly. So what weight division do you currently fight at?
So it was super welter. So the weights actually changed. It was 69 kilos. I used to fight at 69 kilos, but now the weights have changed. And now I fight at 71. So basically I'm a light middle. But that's what they did for the box cup. So what I did was, for the box cup was 71. So what I did was I cut down to 69. So when I cut down to 69, I gave myself like time to kind of eat again and like kind of just like rejuvenate myself. So I ate minimal over that weekend anyway. So I'd wake up, and every morning I woke up and weighed at 69.8. I had to be 71. So I'd eat like a massive breakfast before I weighed in, which is I actually managed my weight quite well over that weekend because I'm a natural 69. So it was actually a luxury to fight at 71. So yeah, that was fighting at 71 was quite enjoyable. And then I fought 2 weeks after in the London Development 69. Now that was hard, like because where it is 69 and under, you've got to be under 69. So I couldn't. So with normal club bouts, I'd have I'd fight at 69, but you could be 69.5 and it's all right as long as you're in that 69 bracket. It's okay. But where the developments were 69 and under, I had to get to like 68.8 or 7. Like that was a proper stretch. Like I couldn't eat. Like so I had breakfast and I had like a real small lunch, and I went to the gym, and like getting that weight off like was proper hard. And then come actual fight day, I had to skip that last half a kilo off. Like that, it was that much of a stretch. And that was the first fight I lost. Actually, I boxed national champion. It was a wicked fighter as well. But yeah, the weight cut is that one to 68. Well, basically, 68. That was real hard.
Yeah, well, as I say, you probably get more used to it over time and things like that, and get more dialed into your body. If you don't have to, obviously, just jump up if you can't, obviously, consistently make it. But how tall are you as well? Because you seem quite tall for your weight class from the pictures and things I've seen.
Yeah, I'm about in between 6'2", 6'3". I think probably more near 6'2". But a lot of people of recent as well, people have been saying, "Oh yeah, you seem like you got taller." I don't know where that's come from. Like, but yeah. So I'd say in between 6'2", 6'3".
Right. Okay. But I'm pretty sure like most welters and things like that are around the 6 foot mark. So you are like a bit or just under, so you are quite tall for the division. How does the box cup work then? So I'm guessing you have to qualify somehow, and then is it just the 2 fights on the day?
Nah. So the competition came about, and then what my coach did, he entered us. So there was class A, which was 10 bouts and above. So I think if you had over 10 bouts, then you was in open class, like you could fight anyone. But I was in class B because I only had 3 fights at this point. So so he entered the class A fighters into obviously class A, and then class B, class B fighters into class B. And then I think it's then into MTK's hands to then start matchmaking. So what happened was I think there was so many fighters in my weight. They had 2 different 71 tournaments going on basically. So there was like 71 Group 1 and 71 Group B or 2 or whatever. So yeah, I actually got a bye because there wasn't enough in my weight. So I got a bye to the semi-final straight away. But then I was a bit worried about that. I was thinking like I haven't boxed for like 18 months and then I'm going in, like, what if I box someone that's boxed the day before and he's fresh? So it will, the way the fights were working is that you would fight on the Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. So it'll be quarterfinal, semi-final, final. But then obviously I've jumped the quarterfinal straight into semi-final. But then funny enough, my opponent had a bye as well. So our first fights were both in the semi-final. So then the competition started on the Friday. I didn't box on the Friday. So I boxed on the Saturday, won the bout on the Saturday, and then went on to Sunday in the final and then boxed in the final.
And then won.
Oh yeah, and then won, yeah, of course, yeah.
Missed out that little detail. So obviously with MTK, the massive sort of management company in boxing and a massive name in boxing. So I'm guessing there would have been a lot more eyes at the competition and a lot more people to impress. What is that something that you're like aware of? Is it something that if you win, you are, I don't know, guaranteed something, or is it just an opportunity to win in front of more people?
Yeah, basically just opportunity to win in front of more people. And I've got someone that I chat to quite regularly about boxing. He said, you win enough times and it's like, you know, something you could take them, say, you know, I've been committed to like your competition, like maybe, you know, could work something out, or maybe like sign on, maybe if that's a possibility, if that's what they're willing to do. But I think so the way that tournament works is you fight in the first tournament. So that was the last one I just won, and you get a medal, just a medal. And then the second time you win it, you then get a belt, but you have to give the belt back, and then you got to win it for a third time, and then you get to keep the belt, and then whatever comes with that, then comes with that after.
Right. Okay. So I always wondered that because I've seen a couple of the MTK competitions before, and I just thought, what sort of in it for the winner sort of thing? Because at amateur level, they do seem to be doing a lot more than say other organizations. Because I don't really hear about boxing at an amateur level other than say GB or MTK, which is a credit to them. It is a weird sport in that respect, because there's not like a set path, if that makes sense. Like for boxing in general, compared to like football, you join the academy and you go through the age groups, whereas this is slightly different in that respect. Going back to when you first entered the gym, so you got into it consistently, and then heard you say, obviously we were messaging before this, and you said around 12, 13 you took a bit of a break, and you went away from the sport for a few years. The wording that you used was because you didn't like getting hit. So, to come back to the sport when you don't like getting hit is a bit of a weird one. So was that like anytime you get hit, you sort of lost discipline and you would get a bit too aggressive, or was it couldn't take a punch, or like what do you mean by when you said that?
Nah, well, with taking a hit, like it's common with a lot of, you know, kids that start out, like when you get hit, you probably go into your shell. But the thing with me is that where I had that natural talent, it was a thing of, I know I can do better, but it was just that thing of every time I got hit, it actually became a fear of, you know, getting hit. And then there was a spot she did quite well in, and it was with another boy that was around the same age as me, but he doesn't box anymore. Around the same age as me, and I did quite well against him the week before, and then he come back the week after, and he proper put it on me, and I think that's when I went home and I was just like, do you know what, like I don't think this is for me. And then I took that time off, and then obviously I was like doing obviously, you know, regular stuff with school and that, and then I went to college, and then it was in year 11 when I started like watching boxing again. I remember I started watching it was Joshua White, and then after that I just started watching every single card, and then it started to like kind of draw me back in. And then it's like, you know, once you start, you've always got the itch to go back. Like you might go once when you're like 15, you always have that itch to go back. It's like, oh yeah, like I might want to go back to the gym. You know, it's like every man like has that thing of fighting. So it's like I started watching boxing a lot more. Got back interested in it, and then I started watching like Mayweather a lot. I was a massive fan of Mayweather. And then it was after my first year of college, I was a bit like, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, because I did my first year at college, Kingston College, and I was doing engineering. I was thinking like, yeah, I don't know, like if I was to go back to college, I'm not too sure like what I'll do. So I just thought like, I think this is the right time for me to go back to boxing, because I've matured a bit. I knew it was about, I've taken the beatings. Like it's time to, go back and kind of, pursue that career. Because even when I stopped, because I stopped at like 12, 13, I'd always have thoughts in the back of my mind, like, yeah, I'm gonna go back. And then it was that first year after college, and I thought, you know what, yeah, this is where I really want to pursue something, and this is basically my calling, because basically the only thing I've really, really been good at, and like naturally good at as well, and kind of like grasp really quickly. So that when I went back, I was basically training. I went back into training 4 times a week. Getting back into the combinations, like learning everything again, just kind of throwing off that rust, getting back used to it again. And then I started building my confidence up, doing certain things in the gym, getting recognition from people in the gym, like saying, oh yeah, you're really good, like it's good to see you again after so many years, all that kind of stuff. And then when my coach had noticed, obviously I'm getting a lot better, he said, all right, yeah, because the way we do it is Sunday morning is sparring day. So what I was doing is I was kind of purposely avoiding sparring, to be fair. I'd train, it was Monday to Thursday, and then I wouldn't train Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then he said, yeah, come down to sparring. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I actually got to a point where I was actually like, the thought of sparring actually made me like really nervous. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna start sparring now. And then, my first sparring session, it was actually good. Like, my dad even spoke to my coach after. He said, yeah, like Marley's looking really impressive. Like, looking really good. So after that, it was like those nerves kind of just went, and it was like, oh, it's not as bad as like I remember. Like, I can, I've developed into a decent boxer now. I can actually hold my own. And then after that, it just kind of went downhill again. It was like I was taking beatings every single week, and it was just like there'll be times I'll be in the gym, and then it'll be like the inexperienced. I'd be like with the inexperienced one, because a lot of the boxers, they actually had like a lot of fights. So I'd be amongst the inexperienced ones, and then the experienced ones hadn't quite got there yet. So I remember I was getting ready for sparring, and they weren't there, and then they all walked through the door. I was like, oh my god! So I was like, okay, cool. So I got in the ring, and obviously like took more beatings. But then it's like every time I'd take a beating, it would ruin my week. I'd go home, sometimes even cry. Like it would proper like upset me, because I just knew like this is what I wanted to do, and it's like I'm sparring, and it's like I'm not really seeing no improvements, and like. But then there was always that thing of I believed in myself because I had that natural talent. I always felt like I was a little bit different to the rest of the fighters in my gym. I had that something about myself that was a little bit more unique. So that's what kind of kept me going. Is like there's something in me that can make up for this. So kept going, taking beatings, and then things started to slowly shift, and then that's when my confidence started to grow. And then I started to win spars myself. And then I remember I was sparring this guy one time, and I remember he was saying like, I really don't like sparring. And then I think that's when even in my mind, it was like, okay, so I've kind of become one of those guys that like people actually don't like sparring me now, because there was like, there'll be people in the gym I'm thinking like, I've got to spar him, like it's just gonna be long. Like I remember even like when the buzzer first went, I'd be like, this round just needs to end now, sort of thing. But it's like, yeah, the more I went, the more confidence I built up, the more my skills were better, and things just fell into place very slow. It was a long journey, because I went back at 17. I didn't have my first fight until I was 19. So that 2-year period of me just really getting back into it and like build myself up again. It was a long journey. It was quite tough as well. But yeah, when I got there, it was all worth it. I had my first 3 fights, and then I won them. So then that kind of put me on like the upward trajectory.
So it's basically just chucking yourself back into that deep end and facing your fear almost. So like
just having to face it
every week. Because I imagine you, like, obviously your coach said you had the natural ability, and then people who were saying, oh, I don't want to face you in sparring, probably would have said that the same before if you had overcame like your own mental before, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah,
the only thing that was stopping you was yourself, by the sounds of it. But I think that is the thing, in it. It's like when people say hard work meets talent, sort of thing. So you had the talent, It would just have to get through that barrier with sort of a bit of hard work and consistency, which is really good, because I think most people do have a natural ability for most things to a decent enough standard. You know what I mean? Where you can mess about a bit, but it's when it gets a bit more challenging, most people quit and don't push through that barrier. And obviously, testament to you, because you went back and was like, actually, no, I want to give this a crack, and got through that barrier. And it's a lot harder when that barrier is another person in the ring with you, compared to, say,
100%.
Any other sport or vocation. We'll obviously talk about quite a few boxers who inspired you throughout the years, so like Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones Jr., Floyd Mayweather, you mentioned before, and then obviously getting back into boxing, watching AJ and White and all the sort of more recent boxers. Who do you think's obviously influenced you the most? And have you tailored your style to say anybody that has influenced you?
Initially, when I went back, I tried to imitate Mayweather a lot. Because obviously, like, everyone looks at him as like the guy. Like, he's actually ruined boxing in a sense. Like, no, you disrespect to him, but he's that magical O thing. Everyone wants the O. It's like, even in amateurs, like, I have to tell people now, like having their first amateur fight, it's like, don't worry about that. It's fine. As long as you get in there, you fight, you win. Don't worry about the O. You know what I mean? But I used to imitate him a lot. And then who else did I used to watch? I was watching a lot of AJ. Obviously, he was the biggest guy going at the moment. I'd watch Canelo here and there. It was mainly Mayweather. I used to, you know, the all access story thing that he would kind of do behind the scenes. I'd spend like ages watching those, watching the epilogues and all, like the build up to the fight. So it was Mayweather for me that kind of inspired me the most. But yeah, I'd also go back to watch Tyson, Lennox, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, all like the main guys. Sugar Ray.
Do you try to imitate the Philly shell now, or is it something that your style sort of veered away from?
Nah, I've started to develop my own style, and then there's a thing of developing my own style, and there's a certain style in the amateurs that, you know, kind of goes a bit further, where you got to be fleet-footed, you know, pop a move, you know, picking angles, all that kind of stuff. So I've kind of tried to develop myself into like a decent level amateur, as well as, you know, kind of make up my own style. Like, I try and make up my own sort of moves. Like, I'll do like a half pivot, come back straight just to throw my opponent off. Or I don't even having my hands down at certain points where I'd feel comfortable. Like, of course, you keep your hands up as well if you're in a sport bubble, but against certain fighters, maybe like a come forward fight, I'd feel more comfortable with my hands down, popping shots, then spinning off into an angle, and then, you know, like using my combinations, that kind of stuff. But I've actually found against different opponents, I can like switch up. One of my coaches, he's quite good. He's quite versatile, because we've got a lot of boxers in our gym. We've got like come forward fighters, counter punchers, you know, like good boxers in general. And it's good to watch them, because you kind of pick up small things. Like someone like me that would kind of be on the back foot, like, you know, spinning off, using my combinations, like where there's a lot of come forward fighters, I can see I can actually cut off the ring quite well, like, because obviously I'd watch them cut off the ring, you know, cutting down space and then like unloading on their opponent, pushing their opponents back to the ropes. So I can do all that kind of stuff. I've had the privilege to, you know, spar people like that, and have like people in the gym, like other coaches as well, that can kind of teach me that. But yeah, like over the years, it started with like the Mayweather, but it kind of just, my own style kind of started to shine through. And I actually watch a lot of Ben Whitaker now. Don't know if you know him. Just won silver at the Olympics. Yeah, I think he's probably my favorite boxer at the moment. Just what he does, you know, it's just, you don't see. I don't think anyone's seen him do anything. He's the most unique boxer, maybe even the most skilled boxer in the UK at the moment. Like, I rate him so highly.
Yeah, I've seen obviously during the Olympics as well. The Tokyo one that happened last year, he got obviously a lot of support. And I think he was quite close to winning the gold, if I recall. It was quite an emotional post-fight interview. It'll be very exciting to see when he turns professional. If he hasn't already, I think he might have. But I don't know. He's in the process of turning.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some talks about who he might be signing for. I don't know if I feel like a few promotional companies are
258. 258 management. I think they released something, but I don't think he's under a promotional company yet.
Yeah, I think that's what I might see. As well. That was it, because a lot of the batch from Tokyo are obviously turning pro now. Like we're just seeing Yafai. He just obviously had his first fight for a title on his first fight, which is quite ludicrous. When you mentioned obviously one of the fighters before that inspired you was Roy Jones, and I obviously had a flick through your Instagram recently, and you obviously got to meet the legend. Obviously, when you are boxing, you probably do have people coming in and out of gyms and getting to see people at competitions. Where did you meet him? What was discussed? Did he give you any words of encouragement or?
So I actually heard he was local. It wasn't actually at my gym. It was at another gym, but I heard he was local. And then so I went, and then just to like kind of hear what he had to say, because he was kind of like it was an open boxing class. So he was kind of showing people like certain things, what certain ways to throw a punch, or like certain combinations to throw, or how you move, or what you'll do to throw your opponent off to, you know, deceive them and make them do something you'd want to do for you to then counter them, you know, to put yourself. He was basically speaking about, you know, making yourself 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, and like how he would do that and all that kind of stuff. That was at a gym called West London Boxing Academy. They've had a few boxers go. I think they've had James Aguel down there, Chantel Cameron, Joseph Parker as well has been there. So they get people down there quite often, you know, speaking to boxers. But yeah, he was basically just saying how he would live his life. He would say, wake up, go for a run every morning, train every day. And he mentioned about when he was chasing the title, he had to work hard and obviously do what he did to get where he got to. But he said once he made it, he said there was then a new motivation of him to, you know, obviously stay there. So he said he had to do everything like times 2. He said people often say once you make your dreams come true and become a world champion, like how do you then get up and then, you know, carry on doing it? But he basically said if you get there and you can't find a motivation to stay where you are, of making them, you know, once you made your dreams come true to stay there, he said then the sport can't be for you and you should basically stop now. He was just basically saying it. If you're not made up a certain way, then, you know, you're not going to last in the sport. He said people get found out very soon enough. And he said something about strength conditioning, you know, being not being what people assume it to be. He said back in this day there was no sort of strength conditioning. There was he thinks it's no good. But then I spoke to someone else. They reckon where obviously back then where he wasn't doing it, no one was doing it, so he wouldn't have felt the benefits or seen the benefits of fighters. So it's maybe 2 different boxing worlds where things have changed over. He wouldn't really understand the way it works. But
I think you still find that discussion now is being had, because you see like Joshua, for example, and Fury. I think are the two prime examples. You have the strength and conditioned guy in Joshua who looks like and is called a bodybuilder often by Fury, and then you've got obviously the more burly guy, and he doesn't look like he should be a boxer, but he's obviously very technically gifted. And I think you're always going to have that comparison, like throughout most of history, because you find it in most sports, even say basketball with LeBron James and Steph Curry. You've got the more conditioned athlete who's a machine, quote unquote, and LeBron, and the more technically gifted, which is Steph. Football, no different. Messi versus Ronaldo, the machine, and then you've got the more technically gifted. Yeah, exactly. So you're going to find it all the time. I think obviously nowadays it's hard not to be on top of your strength and condition. It's probably more important in the weight classes where you need to cut, because it can help you actually figure out your weight management and things, and if you have correct nutrition and strength training. But yeah, I think everyone's going to have their own take on it. It depends. Roy was obviously quite naturally gifted, so for him to put on all that muscle mass might have even deterred him when he got up to heavyweight. Obviously he won the title, but coming back down, it proved a big problem. Evander Holyfield was complete different. Do you know what I mean? He was the cruiserweight that stacked on so much muscle to become heavyweight champ. And you see that like Usyk now, he hasn't really done that. He's put on a couple of extra kg, but he still basically fights at his cruiserweight weight in heavyweight, and he's quite twinkle toesy style. He hasn't relied too much on his physique or putting on muscle mass. So everyone's going to have a different approach, and I think it's just knowing your body best and working around that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I've often been told, you know, if you go to the gym, you're gonna slow yourself down or building up too much muscle, you're gonna end up being more tired in the ring. So prior to the box cup, I was going to the gym just, you know, to strengthen up my legs, and I was just doing a lot of like leg work. But then when that come around, like I completely stopped. I stopped going to the gym around October time when the box cup was. Yeah, just, you know, just to keep myself being able to be more agile, being quicker, you know, getting less tired in the round, because obviously, you know, bigger your muscles are, you know, the more oxygen your muscles need, and obviously then that'll start to build up lactic acid and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've you know, always, I think, even because I'm a natural slim guy anyway, so you know, building up that much muscle can't be any good for me anyway, especially being a naturally explosive person as well, because you know, I used to do flex when I was younger.
100%, 100%. So what is next for you?
So my last one, actually no, the one before last, I was in the London developments, and I lost to the national champion, and then I had a club bout after that. That was on the 5th of December, and then it went on like a Christmas break type thing, so I haven't boxed since the 5th of December, and then but I stayed training. I was in the gym from Christmas all the way up until like the boxing season kind of restarted. So the gym's all closed for like 2 weeks, but I was still in the gym, and then you know, I kind of built up, like I was refining my skills, just keeping my fitness up there, and then funny enough, my second spar back, I dislocated my shoulder, and then yeah, that took me up for 4 weeks, and I was meant to be doing, I think there was meant to be London developments, but they pushed them back, so that's meant to be on the 19th of March. So initially I was getting ready for that. So when I dislocated my shoulder, as soon as I dislocated, I just thought, oh, I'm not gonna have to do this. I won't be able to, you know, box in London developments, because the way that competition works is you box in that, and then you've got, I think it's 4 fights. So you fight a pre-quarterfinal, quarterfinal, semi, and a final. And in the finals, then a qualifier for the nationals, and then that's 3 fights. So that's basically what I wanted to, that's what I missed out on last time, was coming. So you win the London developments, you're the London champion, and then after that, you're the national champion. So yeah, so I rushed back for that, and then only to find out that yeah, the competition's not going until October. So now I'm fully healed up, you know, but I've still got to be discharged on the 9th of March. Yeah, so after that, I spoke to my coach. He said as soon as I've been discharged, he said he's going to get me out straight away, and then we're just going to start building up the fights again. Just start, you know, fighting every week, every 2 weeks if we can. And then I think there's another MTK Box Cup coming up soon. So I'll go back there, defend my title, win the belt this time. And then I think there's a Riviera Box Cup in August, and then I'll just be preparing for the London developments again, and then nationals, and then yeah, hopefully I'll be able to finish the year with at least 4 titles, because then there's a box cup in Portugal, but I don't know if they're doing elites or not, because with that, when you're elite, you've got to have 20 plus fights. So yeah, I've got to wait for that, because there was another box cup in Eindhoven, which I found out yesterday that they're only doing elites for. So until I'm over 20 bucks, that's when I can start entering competitions like that. So yeah, until then, just refining myself, getting myself better, just yeah, fighting on the club shows for now.
How many fights you got now?
How many fights? I've had 7, 1, 6.
Sweet. So by the time you get back out and do obviously a couple of competitions, by the end of the year, you probably should be in that elite category then.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping to be in the elite category by 23, hopefully 100%, yeah. And then my goal is to win the national developments, and then after that, I want to win it as an elite, because when you win as elite, it's you get the strap, you're number 1 in England, and then it's you're then eligible for a GB assessment. So that's something I'm pushing for as well. Is that
the route you want to go? So London, national, GB squad, potentially the next Olympics?
That was the initial plan. Obviously I've got someone advising me around these certain things now. So yeah, if that's part of the plan. We've got a few plans. So it's like win as many competitions as we can, and then hopefully turn over. But if I can get to that GB squad and then go through there, that's another option as well. So just got a few plans, and whatever direction life takes me down, we'll just go down that route. We'll work with whatever position that we're in.
100%. And then obviously, like you said, you want to turn over and turn to the professional ranks. And I imagine the goal, as you messaged me before this, is to become undisputed and unified champion of the world one day. So that will be the goal, yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. As soon as I turn over, that's the goal, 100%. Win the British title, move on to European level, and then after European level, start chasing the world titles, 100%.
It's good. That's that welterweight, super middleweight category at the moment is starting to spice up a little bit in the UK as well. So yourself in the mix will be quite interesting in a couple of years. Thoroughly enjoyed this. What I like to do with a lot of the boxing guests towards the end is just wrap up with a few weight categories that I find quite interesting, just to get your take on them. So my favourite category, weight class, to watch currently is the lightweight division, because I just think it's just so explosive. If you do watch a lot of boxing, that is, because it is weird, because sometimes I always think that obviously a lot of boxers would religiously study tape and things like that, but some people do not. And then I get to this part and they're like, I don't really know who that is. So but who for you would be the lightweight king at the moment? Obviously we've got Kambosos, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Tank, Loma.
See, for me, it's probably, I know Loma lost, but he's just that guy. He lost his title, but people still look at him as the best. Like, Loma is Loma. But then I really do like Devin Haney, and obviously, Gervonta Davis as well. I'm not too keen on Ryan Garcia, if I'm honest. Still a few things. I feel like he's the most least proven. But yeah, Kambosos. Do you know what? I'm not entirely too sure about Kambosos. I feel like the rest of the lightweights kind of looking at him like food. I feel like when Loma was champion, it's like, apart from Tiafimo, he was proper on it. He was like, that was his. So you see how Fury was chasing Klitschko. That was his Klitschko, and then he beat him, and then like, it you kind of saw it. His attitude weren't really the same after that. He lost to Kambosos straight after. But yeah, for me, the best out of that bunch would probably be Loma still.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I quite like Devin Haney myself as well. I feel like Loma is obviously getting on in age, is probably catching up to him, because he is very slick in his movements and things, and obviously that kind of stuff would deteriorate with age. What he's done though is obviously unbelievable while he has been professional. But
funny enough, Roy Jones actually believes he's still the best boxer. Like today, he said the top three are Crawford, Loma, and not in order, but those are the top three: Crawford, Loma, and Canelo. And he said reason for that, he said that Loma can do everything. He said, like, if a boxer can do anything, then that's how you know he's the best. You don't need to worry about titles. Like, he's simply just the best boxer.
Would you agree with that pound for pound top three?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think for me, Crawford's my favorite out of that three. Like, I think Crawford's just a genius.
Yeah, fair play. And then heavyweight's probably the other main sort of highlight at the moment is obviously you've got your Fury, White, and AJ Usyk. Do you think anybody could beat Fury, or do you think it's just him and then second could be any one of them?
See, my thing with the heavyweights is the strength. Do you know, I've spoken to a few people about this and they've actually agreed. So my thing is, at a stage it was Fury, Wilder, and AJ, and my thing was Wilder beats AJ, AJ beats Fury, Fury beats Wilder. We've seen Fury beat Wilder. We haven't seen, obviously, AJ fight Wilder, AJ fight Fury. So I actually believe, even now, I reckon Joshua beats Fury. And then I reckon with Joshua Wilder, it's whoever lands first. And I think Wilder's just a little bit quicker with his right hand than Joshua would be.
Yeah, I think that's like you said at the beginning, and I've said this a few times on the podcast, speaking of boxers, is that Mayweather effect of having that O has sort of ruined the sport in that a lot of the big boys don't want to fight each other because they want to keep that O. And obviously when you lose it, it's a lucrative thing to have, isn't it? It's, if you have it as long as possible to get to that word level and have that O intact, it's a very lucrative thing. And then these big money fights or these really high profile fights don't really happen as often as they should. I mean, look back in the day anyway, like there was world title fights every, like at the heavyweight level as well, like every other month. Because the fighters back then were just a lot more active. And if you only have 2 fights a year and there's 4 or 5 of you in the mix for potentially the best heavyweight in the world, for all of you to fight each other it's going to take donkeys, and that time sort of just passes. Everyone passes the prime, and that is the bad thing about it. But I'm a big AJ fan myself. I'm unsure with his.
He's not going to beat Usyk. No, he's not going to beat Usyk. I reckon I want to see Usyk Fury. That's one fight I really don't know. People just assume that Fury would beat him because obviously his size and his dimensions are in his favor. But Usyk, he's seen every single style possible. I think he's had like 300, 400 amateur fights and lost 3. Do you know what I mean? I think
he's a big Lomachenko, essentially. Do you know what I mean?
Basically, he's a blown up Lomachenko. Yeah, and I think Loma's dad trained both of them as well. So he's got all the skills. It's just who can nullify those skills, and it's gonna be a hard night's work for whoever can.
And it's on the night as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, as you probably know, like if you're having an off day as a fighter, if you haven't made weight properly, if you like all the things that we spoke about earlier on, like a lot goes into it. It's not just statistically who's better, who will win. Like Jordan Gill this weekend. I don't know if you've seen that. That fight.
That. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the odds are stacked against you. Statistically, he probably should have lost after the seventh day, after he got DDT'd.
Oh God,
But then that one punch, exactly. He was fully out on his feet. He couldn't get out of his corner, but he pulls out the win. Like if we were just putting each other's stats against each other, then it's very different to actually who wants it on the night. And that's where I agree with you for where Fury's Klitschko was obviously Klitschko. I feel like Joshua wants Fury specifically. Like he obviously says he wants the undisputed, but he wants him.
Fury.
And I feel like he might have a bit more
drive, some itch to beat him. Yeah, because they've got history. Obviously, going back to the spar, and obviously like Fury's been winding them up and goading them for years. So it's like when you keep getting that, so we're sitting at the back of your mind. Even on the overlap, he was chatting to Gary Neville when he was saying like how much Fury annoys him, and just like he'll say, "Oh, I'd smoke that guy." So there's obviously some sort of animosity built up. When you've got that building up, you obviously want to release that at some stage.
Exactly. Whereas when I feel like he is the type of person that needs that as well. Do you know what I mean? Like when he doesn't have the opponent that is maybe is respectable or someone that he thinks he could beat easily, he might not obviously turn up to the gym as intense or something. Whereas with Fury, I think he would, which is why it's so exciting. But these fights need to happen. That's the main thing.
Oh, 100%. If they do happen, yeah.
Exactly. Amazing, mate. So what I'll do is I'll leave your Instagram handle in the bio, where everyone can check you out, and we'll just wrap up with the same 5 questions that I ask every guest in a sort of quick fire fashion. Is that cool?
Yeah, 100.
First one is, what are you most proud of?
Probably MTK Box Cup.
What are you most looking forward to?
Oh, the Undisputed Nights. When I win them Undisputed titles at Wembley, 100,000 fans, 100,000 people, that's me.
That's you, yeah. What is your biggest motivation?
My dreams, everything that I've been working for, waking up, knowing that I could become a world champion one day. That's what drives me every morning.
Wicked. What is your definition of success?
Just finding pure happiness. You can achieve everything you achieve. You can have all the money in the world, everything in the world, but if you're not happy, then you can't be successful. Finding happiness is the main thing.
100%. Last but not least, because it's the KultureKast podcast, how has your culture impacted you on your journey thus far? Where they were against it, probably finding that independence to, build up myself and just go for it. Wicked. Smashed it. As I say, links will be in the bio. Hopefully we can all watch your journey. Be very excited seeing you in the GB squad, or when you turn over being pro, and all support you.
Yeah, 100. Cheers.